With the success of the big brother Focus ST, it comes as no surprise that Ford would trickle down the ST name down the Ford family of cars. Meet the 2014 Fiesta ST. Now the Fiesta, if you guys know, is Ford's subcompact car, so it makes sense that Ford would eventually bring us a performance version of this vehicle. Now, in terms of the performance subcompact cars, the Fiesta ST is really in a league of its own. It has only just a handful of competitors, and compared to the big brother Focus ST, this vehicle is about 500 pounds lighter. It's got a smaller 1.6 liter turbocharged engine. It's much smaller in footprint, and it just looks fantastic. Now, the Fiesta ST is known as a specialty performance model. You can distinguish it as an ST basically from that large rear wing spoiler. You'll find an ST badge on the back of the vehicle, as well as the twin outlet dual exhaust poking out from underneath the bumper. At the sides, you can also see it's got a side sill rocker extension, and as well as a lowered ride height. Now, unlike most subcompact cars, the Fiesta ST has been upgraded in terms of its suspension and its brakes. You'll actually find rear disc brakes at the back, replacing the drums on the regular Fiesta. This particular one has the optional dark finished 17-inch wheels with the red painted brake calipers. It looks fantastic. Coming at the front, you're basically looking at the updated Fiesta front end. It kind of reminds you of a Fusion with that grille. Instead of the chrome or metallic bars, you have a mesh finish just like the Focus ST. And the car just looks great, especially in this ingot silver color. The one thing you will not find, however, in the US is the two-door version. Other parts of the world will have a two-door, or I guess a three-door hatchback. And you'll also be able to get HID headlights in other parts of the world. This American Fiesta ST just doesn't offer it. Now, in terms of the competition, you're basically looking at the Hyundai Veloster Turbo, the Mini Cooper S, and that's pretty much it, and then maybe the Fiat 500 Abarth, but although that is a much smaller vehicle. In terms of how the Fiesta fits in the class in terms of price, this vehicle is actually one of the cheapest vehicles you could buy in terms of bang for your buck. Now, looking at the interior, this is basically the updated Fiesta interior for 2014. The one thing you'll notice, of course, are those Recaro seats. This is a option for about $2,000 to get the Recaro seat package. It includes a couple of other extras. I'll touch base on them in a moment. Basically, they're like the Focus ST seats. They hold you in place really well. They look great. They are the partial leather. You cannot get the full leather, at least in the Fiesta ST. Now, stepping inside the vehicle, it has a pretty low ride height, so you do have to duck your head a little bit. But basically, this is the interior of the Fiesta ST. It looks very familiar to the other 2014 Fiesta Titaniums that I've shown you. You have a Sony premium audio system. You have the new My Ford Touch interface for this vehicle, the smaller 6.5-inch screen. Push button start, I said, is standard. So basically, put the clutch in, make sure it's in neutral, and push the button to start the engine. Now, the gauges are specific to the ST. You'll have red face needles as opposed to the blue needles in the regular Fiestas. Now, shutting the door, the window is automatic up, down for the driver, and only the driver. The Focus ST gives you all four for all four of the windows, not the Fiesta ST. Now, in terms of the interior materials, the Fiesta ST still represents one of the best in the class, just because it's already based on the Fiesta, which had really great materials. You have soft touch plastics on the dashboard, pretty good high quality fit and finish here. You have automatic climate control, just a single zone, and you also have heated seats, and then you'll find Ford's ambient interior lighting, where you can change the color of the ambient lighting on the floor and such, and then you have your 3-mode stability control system in this vehicle, where you can put it in a sport mode. The door panels are actually hard plastic, but you have a silver painted plastic alloy handle, nicely padded right here, although it is cloth, not leather, where your elbows are going to rest. The steering wheel is a specific steering wheel to the ST. You have slightly fatter bolstering extensions, special stitching. It feels really good in your hands. It looks really good. And you can see here the Fiesta ST has a slightly higher 6,800 RPM redline. Now, in terms of the shifter, this is the only 6-speed manual Fiesta you can buy. All the other manual Fiestas are 5 speeds. And basically, it's the same excellent unit in the Focus ST. Somewhat longer throws, but it gives you a lot of feel. Pull up for reverse, and it goes over here. There is no backup camera available on the Fiesta ST or the Focus ST. In terms of the clutch, it has a nice springy feel to it. It's pretty short travel. It's also pretty light as well. Now, my particular tester also has the optional sunroof, which is slightly really far back in terms of where it is on the roof. It's nice that Ford gives you that. Looking at the glove compartment, it kind of cheaply falls down, but it's a decent size. Overall, I'm really impressed with the interior of the Fiesta. It still represents one of the best in the class, and I'm really excited to show you guys how this performance model drives. In terms of the My Ford Touch, I'm not going to touch too much base on it, but if you guys want to see that, check out my Fiesta Titanium review. But let's face it, most of you who buy the Fiesta ST probably will not really care too much about that and care more about how this thing drives. Now, looking at the back seat, this is where the Fiesta kind of trails the class. It's got a smaller back seat than most of its competition, especially like the Versa or the Honda Fit. But stepping inside, you basically have, this is where I'll have the seat to drive. I'm pretty short, I'm only 5'7", but you have a power outlet back here. Surprisingly, you have dual mat pockets, but there's no center armrest here. The seats themselves, they're the nice partial leather cloth material from the front, although they don't exactly hug you like the front seats do. Shutting the door, it's hard plastic materials on the door panels, kind of expected, and it's even hard plastic down here while your elbows are going to rest. Now, looking at the cargo area, the Fiesta ST only comes as a hatchback, so don't even bother asking for it for a sedan. Now, in terms of cargo capacity, the Fiesta is pretty small in terms of the class. You're only going to look at about 15 cubic feet with the rear seats up. Fold them down, you'll get about 28 cubic feet. Definitely trails the Honda Fit or the Versa, which gives you roughly double the space, but let's face it, this is still a pretty practical vehicle, and the fact that the Honda Fit or the Versa doesn't offer a performance iteration makes this a very unique vehicle. Now, when you look under the hood, this is what makes an ST product an ST. You'll find one engine choice. This is Ford's smaller 1.6 liter EcoBoost engine. This is their turbocharged direct fuel injection engine. And the ST Ford pumped up the numbers, 197 horsepower and 204 pound-feet of torque. That's what the overboost function. Ford says it allows overboost for a certain amount of time, and then the computer will kind of cut back when it decides you need to cool off the turbo. It runs on regular gas, but Ford recommends premium. Expect 0 to 60 times, probably around the 6.5-inch range. This car hasn't been tested much. Fuel economy is actually quite impressive. Compared to the Focus ST, this car is smaller, it's lighter, it's rated at 2635, paired with only that 6-speed manual and front-wheel drive. Let's take a look at how this all works together, shall we? Now, I know you all have been eagerly anticipating this car, and you all are probably wondering, what is it like to drive a performance version of the Fiesta? Well, you're about to find out. And immediately I'm noticing this car kind of feels just like the Focus ST, not very surprisingly, although it feels a little bit more tossable. I definitely feel the lesser weight that the Fiesta ST body has. And again, that sound symposer technology makes its appearance in the Fiesta ST, and I gotta say, this car has just the right amount of power for me. With 197 horsepower, that overboost function, this car has a good amount of pull, and what I notice even when you dip into the throttle at a higher gear, this thing still pulls really well. That EcoBoost 4-cylinder sounds fantastic, and in terms of the handling, this thing is just as good as the Focus ST. The steering, incredibly direct. This car just changes directions even better than the Focus ST. And the one thing that I do notice compared to the Focus ST is the ride quality. This car definitely rides on the stiffer side. It's because the Fiesta body has a semi-independent torsion beam at the back, not the full independent setup that the Focus has. Now, going around corners here, this car is just fantastic. The Summers tires, they really stick to the road, and then the brakes, they have really good feel as well. You can feel the fact that Ford upgraded the rears to disc brakes. Now, in terms of torque steer, I feel a little bit. There's little hints of torque steer, especially when you're in the lower gears, but this car doesn't have the violent wheel hop that the Focus ST has, so I'm really glad to notice that. In terms of the steering feel, this is an electric power steering, but surprisingly Ford has tuned it to give you a lot of feel, and this car just feels like a point and shoot kind of car, and it's just fantastic. I really hope one day Honda retaliates with a Fit SI. In fact, there's actually a Fit right in front of me. I mean, I would have personally loved to drive around in a Fit SI, but this Fiesta ST is fantastic. Now, in terms of the competition, I have driven a Mini Cooper S, and this car feels just as fun to drive as a Cooper S. In terms of speed, they feel roughly the same. I haven't had a chance to drive the Veloster Turbo yet, but I wasn't too impressed with the regular Veloster. This car feels like a hot hatch. It feels like it can run on the back roads with the best from Germany, from Japan, from America, and it's just, Ford just did a really good job with this car. In terms of the seats, the Recaro seats are definitely something that you need to try out. If you guys are of a wider frame, you probably won't fit in them. I fit in them just fine. They hold me in place well. The visibility in here is good. Typical Ford, you have their integrated blind spot mirrors, but don't expect to find any driver assistance tech in this car. This is a performance hot hatch. Ford assumes that if you buy this kind of a car, you're a driving enthusiast. Now, when you go around this corner right here, sharp corners, the Fiesta ST really sticks to the road just like its big brother Focus ST. You're basically going to get in this car on your normal commute and just have this big grin on your face no matter where you're going. Weekend errands will basically turn into road trips, or I guess races, and this car just encourages you to go faster. It's almost like there's kind of like that person on your shoulder whispering, go faster, go a little bit faster around the corner, you can do it. The shifter in this car is perfect. It doesn't mind being hurried. The clutch has a ton of feel. This car is an easy car to learn how to drive a stick on and just drive every day. So with all that said, the Fiesta ST starts at an incredible price. The base price is $22,195. That's roughly $1,500 less than a Focus ST. Now, my particular tester that I'm driving is much higher. This one is probably the most expensive Fiesta ST you can buy in the States. It stickers at $26,155. That's because of these $2,000 Recaro seats, the $795 for the nav, the $230 for the wheels, and then the $895 for the moonroof. At that price, you could technically buy a Focus ST, but some people may not want the bigger car. They want the lighter car. They want the feel this small Fiesta body just gives you. And I gotta say, this is still a wonderful performance bargain. So if you guys are in the market for a smaller hot hatch, one of the first hot hatches in the subcompact class, make sure you take a look at the 2014 Ford Fiesta ST. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.